All right, Sean Claggett. Look at you, the fighter pilot. Amazing. But you're on mute, Sean. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. Why would you
Good
be aware of
morning.
that?
Good morning.
Good morning, boss. So this is just a quick half-hour program because these guys are all coming to, well, most of them are in LA, but Sean and Justin are coming from around the world here. Sean's flying in his private fighter jet, which is really kick-ass. And Joey Lowe is at the ranch instead of in Hawaii, where he was scheduled to speak. But he gave me his time slot, so I had to handle it for him. So I'm in Maui at the Western Trial Lawyers. Joey, you really set up for the Western Trial Lawyers with that getup on. There you go. Hold on. In the middle of nowhere.
And connectivity issues.
Oh, there we go.
All right, that's okay.
Okay.
So, why don't we start with you, Dan Kramer?
Oh,
What are
shit.
you and Glassman going to do next week, next Friday?
Yeah,
You guys
well,
are
hey, thanks
on
for
right after. Hold on, you're right after Pash and Rahul, so you got a little warm up there.
Yeah, that's
Got
a
the
great warm-up
E
band
team
right there.
Right,
Great warm-up
the
band.
opening
So,
act.
yeah, we're Rob Glassman, who works at Panish's office, great young trial attorney. What we're going to be doing is breaking down opening statement structure for premises in auto cases. So we're going to try to give everyone a structure that they can apply to any of their cases that they typically handle. So we're going to walk through, how to set up the intro, talk about good companies versus bad companies, how to introduce the facts from the defendant's point of view first before even addressing the plaintiff. So what you're going to see is a combination of a lot of different, great teachers in our world, David Ball, Jerry Spence, Trojan Horse, a lot of different methods that I've spent years studying. I've kind of created a structure using all of them. It's not really that original, but what we're going to show is how that structure applies to premises cases, in tough auto cases and spine cases. And then Rob's going to show his structure that he learned from Brian, that again, you can just plug and play your case, your facts, how to dismantle the defenses that can really apply to every case, so that if you're brought into a case late in the game, you can quickly pick it up and plug it into an opening that will really set the tone for the rest of your trial. And it's been really effective in a lot of cases that we've tried. So we're really excited to present that on Friday, right before lunch, after two rock stars before us. So that's about it.
Sounds good. How about you, Khail Parris? What are you presenting on? You and Bruce Schechter.
Me and Bruce, we keep mulling it back and forth, and it keeps changing by the hour, but it's going to be somewhat in the same context of a lot of the things that we've done on here, in how you can essentially tie up your case as you get into that expert discovery phase, and how you can essentially build the evidence that you need and pre-write most of your closing, most of your opening, if a judge will let you play that stuff. And so you have a really good outline, and we're going to get a lot more granular than we ever have before. I mean, we're going to take the specific outline that we've provided and give each of the maneuvers that you make, so that you get those sound bites that you really want to play to the jury, that hopefully gets you the millions of bucks at the end of the day.
Well, I guess it's been effective at Parris Law Firm, but and you only have mediocre lawyers there. So if a good lawyer had your information, just imagine what they could do with it. I mean,
that's on Saturday,
why,
right?
That's the whole point of all of it.
That's Saturday, right?
Saturday afternoon.
I plan on seeing that one. I just want to hear if
me too.
Justin live. I don't think we've ever even seen each other live.
Hell, I just hope to be alive come Saturday.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Vegas Friday night, Halloween.
Vegas. So we're talking about next week's program. Sean's already had 5 months because of the backdrop.
I know, I got very confused.
This is my backdrop for I'm just here. There's like 5 exhibitors just hanging out with friends. Sean, you are teaching a voir dire type of program on Thursday. So, and you don't even know this, but one of the guys doing it is a he's got a sexual abuse case, like the kind of cases that you handle against Arcadia, but it's against a school teacher. So he's going to do his voir dire, you know, with the focus group, and then you're going to coach him. Because I told him, you know, he's a friend of mine, Mike Carrillo. So when I told him, he was like, dude, that would be awesome.
Cool.
So that'll be in the morning, and then David D. Robertus. So Sean and I have been kind of collaborating on this, but so I have a vision, and I start with that, and then Sean handles it from there. But we're gonna get like a focus jury of like 12 or 14 people. Then these two lawyers, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Like David D. Robertus is gonna go in the afternoon on an employment case, and then Carrillo in the morning on a sex abuse case with a live focus group. And then they're going to do their hour and a half their voir dire. We're gonna play it back, and then I think that's Sean's gonna coach him, something like that. Would that be correct, Mr. Claggett?
That sounds like a fine plan, Dan. We will go with that.
Fine.
I do that regularly for the attorneys in my office. So.
All right. Well, what else? What else beyond that? Is that, you know, to be all fair, this was like my idea for Sean, because Sean.
So,
but that's kind of my idea.
Well, are you talking? You want me to tell what I'm doing for Vegas, or?
Well, you can tell. You know that this is what you're gonna do next Thursday. But what are you gonna do in Vegas?
So
you're.
Yeah. So, well, one, I'm teaching with John Campbell, and we're going to talk about data-driven decision making. It's actually a real thing, and we're going to talk about how kind of explain the idea behind how data can be used the same way that, you know, these huge corporations use it to make decisions on how they're going to market you and get you to make your decisions for using your consumer dollar. Where you're going to go through and talk about how that's actually done with your focus groups and your big data focus groups, and how the two interplay and work together. I'm getting to the point that I'm somewhat confident that jury results are not random. They are predictable, and the outcomes with enough data, you can dictate, you can determine to a certain probability what the outcome will be. And I know John and I have worked on several trials together where we've used our technique and we've been right within the range. And we're talking like large numbers, but we've known that within the range of where the case would fall. So that's going to be in the big exhibit hall. And then when I do the small group, we're going to go and I'm going to teach people about all the different types of focus groups they can do. But more importantly, we're going to show a focus group that's been done and then walk through with the group how to analyze it. One of the big mistakes that I see made all the time is that there's two main mistakes that get made. One is the way you present the focus group can skew the data. But then once you learn how to present properly, the information you're pulling out of the focus group can be difficult to understand. Somebody may say something on the surface, but you got to dig a little deeper to understand why they're saying that. And so through the use of questionnaires that we use with our focus groups, you can start to garner some insight into who the people are and why they're saying what they're saying and get a better understanding. So we'll go through all of that.
Cool. Joey Lowe, I know you're out there at the ranch there. So you're on mute, Joey.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Morning.
No problem. Morning, Joey.
Morning.
So you're out at the Thunderhead Ranch?
Yes, it's Wyoming. The location
All right, well, you better come back
for the course we're teaching in August.
Well, first, why don't you tell us what you're teaching. You're teaching a workshop all day next Thursday. So what are you doing there? And then we'll get to what you're going to teach on Saturday, and then we'll get to what's going on out there in Wyoming this August.
All right. So what we're teaching next week is a sampling of the variety of different methods that we use for trial work. Now, for example, we believe that the case is won or lost in voir dire jury selection. It's the most critical part of the entire case. And the reason for it is it's where the connection happens. Now, let me say a little bit about that. Unfortunately, lawyers and a lot of other similar jobs tend to focus their entire daily exercise routine on only one side of their brain. And given technology, they're becoming very secluded to that area of the brain. And so as a result, they have to attend way too many seminars, buy way too many gimmicks, and use way too much demonstrative because they don't know how to connect themselves. So what they are doing is they are using lawyer tricks. They are using those pieces that vendors try to convince them will allow them to form a connection where they cannot do it themselves. And I'm here to tell you that everybody has everything they need to be able to do that themselves. You don't need tricks. You don't need pictures. You don't need fancy audio tape. What you really need is a genuine commitment to understand your client and every different kind of person in that jury box. I don't believe in jury consultants. And the reason for that is that a jury consultant has never picked a jury before. What I mean by that is one where you have to form the connection. It's one thing to stereotype people or put them in a box or label them or limit them. But if your presentation or your connection is only designed for one type of person and you got to pay someone to help you hope that there's enough, apples in the barrel for you to pick for a jury, you're in bad shape. You cannot consistently put up the kind of numbers and wins you need doing it that way. And so what we're teaching out here is how you, the person, is enough. It's all you need. But as you can imagine, you don't get to just show up for an hour and have everything go perfect and have you go from 0 to 100 miles an hour and be perfect. It takes work, it takes commitment, it takes a vulnerability and sacrifice, and mostly it has to do with your ability to listen to somebody else as opposed to listening to you talk. So many trial lawyers are of the opinion that I have a captured audience that the court system has hijacked or has, kidnapped, and they have to sit there and listen to me. And boy, if I get one of those 8-week trials, so those poor souls are chained together for 8 weeks and I get to talk the whole time. Most trial lawyers are performers. That's not going to get it done. That's not real. There's no connection. That's just entertainment, and no one's that entertaining. So what if we tried something different? What if we tried to show you how the entire source of energy and commitment comes from the jury, and all you do is you're there to help lead and show them where we need to go and explain a few things, but they become the advocates. And what if I told you, Dan, that I could show you how to get the jury to root for you and your clients, despite the facts, in spite of the facts? That would be advocacy.
Right. And so is that what's happening on the Thursday workshop?
That's exactly what's happening. I just won't have the time to do the depth clearly, but I'm going to have time to show you how it's different in jury selection, how it's unique to opening statement, because that's an extension of your jury selection. What if I told you that my jury selection goes the entire case? Oh, what does that mean? My opening is a lot like jury selection, believe it or not. And I know there's formulas people like to use that they've either generated themselves or read mostly in a book somewhere. And those are written by academics to give someone a format who doesn't have any experience. But what if you didn't write your opening because you had to create it based on who's in the box at the time and what they said during jury selection and what they want to hear next? And you used story structure as a way to move that story through them emotionally, as opposed to voir dire structure or opening structure. Use story structure. There's some brilliance in there. I spent way too much time working with who's been considered the world's foremost authority on that. If not Jerry Spence, Robert McKee. So I've been to his house 2 times doing it. But some of that also, lawyers, they get so high on cross-examination because they're unconscious of the fact they're afraid most of the time. And so now in cross-exam, they think they have control. And so they think that control now allows them to just beat up on the witness and slash them. And they think, oh, impeachment's amazing stuff. And look at that. I get to say the word impeached. And the jury is just lost. They're like, I don't even understand the relevance of what you're doing, because there's no connection, because there was no story, because you didn't connect people, give them the weight and the value and emotional content of what's about to happen. And so therefore, all they're watching you is exercise your own ego because you're afraid. What if we changed all that? What if I told you I could show you how their witnesses are going to testify for you willingly? mostly then with the closing argument, we have a saying here, and I believe it 100%, and the lawyers can't grasp this. And that is, if you are arguing, you are losing. Man, lawyers love to argue because what it is, it takes one point of view and it digs in deep on that and it gets angry about it and tries to shove it down someone else's throat. And they call that an argument. Man, if you are arguing, you are losing. So we're going to show you some other ways to better connect with jurors so that they will do things like they did in the last trial where they actually give you more money than you asked for. That's the point, isn't it?
All right. So Joey, going on, is that kind of you got the workshop and then you got the afternoon. And then, so if you're done with that, then what's going on out in Wyoming this summer?
Am I freezing up at all? Because you are.
It's Dan.
It's me. I'm in Hawaii,
Okay.
where you're supposed to be. But
All right. So this coming summer, August 15th through September 5th, we have the 3-week college seminar that has been out here. And we are encouraging people to apply for that. I just opened up the applications about 3 weeks ago. Usually we get them out about January. So I'm behind this year. So we only have a few spots left. It was an overwhelming success in just the 3 weeks it was open, but I have a few spots left. And so I'm trying to get some highly qualified trial lawyers to come out here. Now, I know that term is something that is used for anyone that does any type of plaintiff or consumers work, and that's fine. They can use that title, but that's not what we're wanting to come out here. What we're looking for are people who are committed. That's a big word, committed to growing and to perfecting and mastering the art of advocacy in a courtroom. Now, I do not require that you have any trial experience. I prefer it. I definitely prefer it. But I'm looking for those rare individuals who you can tell get it before they even understand it. Most of the time, they are artists, and they don't know it. Most of the time, they are so passionate about their work, but it isn't necessarily from an academic point of view. It is from a moral point of view, almost a drive that they wake up with in the morning, a drive that keeps them awake at night and they can't get any sleep, a drive that causes them to constantly try something new, unlike a lot of trial lawyers who try the same case over and over and over. They may have 100 trials, but they've only really tried it for one case because they do it the exact same way. Sometimes they win and sometimes they don't. That's okay. But I'm looking for the artists, the passionate, the creators, the creative. I'm looking for the trial geniuses who are still out there and have been shunned or shit upon by the court system because the court system wants them to be predictable. I don't want predictable. I want mavericks. I want mad scientists. I want creators who, like inventors, are going to take what we know, add to it, and make it better. I want collaborators, not mimickers. And so I'm looking for these people to please submit applications and come here and commit because it takes a lot of love, a lot of time, but I will change your life.
And Joey, what is the address where people apply to the ranch?
Thank you, Dan, for keeping me on point. JerrySpenceMethod.com. JerrySpenceMethod.com. It's an application. Please fill it out. Even if you may not be able to come this year, get your application in. For the next year, you'll get more weight. It'll go further to the top because you had it in longer. I actually give people more credit when they show and demonstrate commitment for they don't always get in the first time or the second time. Hell, we've had people apply down here 4 times and they didn't get into the 5th time. And I make damn sure they get in because anyone who's willing to face that kind of rejection that many times, just like a trial lawyer does in voir dire, that's someone who's committed and is passionate and doesn't take a mere rejection, simply make them lose their attitude and quit. So get them in, and I think they ought to come and participate.
All right. It took me 3 times, but it wasn't until Rex Parris put a good word in for me. Then finally in 2003, they made their errors in applications. Yeah. let me in.
He's good. That
All right,
way.
we got Brian Breiter and Justin Kahn are doing some type of duet for but they're both doing, let's start with Brian. Brian, you're doing improv for lawyers on Thursday afternoon, June 17th. What's
That's
that all
correct.
about?
Well, so much like a lot of what Joseph was saying, you got to be in the moment. You got to be presenting your case and connecting with the jury. And as an improvisational theater actor for the last 35 years, that's what you're doing with an audience. And, you know, there's two stories going on in every trial. There's the story of your client, that what happened to them, and they're seeing all the witnesses involved with that, and the players and the family. And then there's the story of the trial itself. And who are those players? The lawyers, the judge, the fellow jurors, the clerk, the news that's going on at the time, the weather. So there are two stories going on at the same time. And as actors or presenters in these stories, we have to be aware of both and see where we fit in. And all of that is improvisational because there's no script for any of that. And, you know, using the rules of improvisation and those theater techniques, and when you can start understanding them and eventually mastering them, it's taken me 35 years and I'm learning every time I improvise. You will connect in a way that you've never imagined. Just like Joseph was saying, you know, it's about listening. It's about connecting. It's about empowering the jurors. And there's something called status, which is a very complex concept in the world of improvisation. It's understanding, you know, where you fit in, where you see yourself, how others see you, how you may be hiding your intentions, how others may be hiding their true intentions, how to reveal those true intentions by getting those masks to be pulled off. And those are things you can learn by getting up on your feet, doing these improvisational theater exercises. And you know, Justin, I met because he did one of the first improv classes that we did online with case analysis, and he instantly got it. I mean, first of all, he had no idea what he was doing by joining the program. And the second he got there, I said, this guy's a natural. And like most of these great trial attorneys that you have, they have these skills already. They may not know rules of improv to do what they already know how to do. But once you start applying these improv rules and using the quote games that we teach you, you can really unlock an amazing part of your presentation skills. And so I thought Justin would be perfect. This is my segue to you, Justin, because he's a magician. He's a performer himself. And there you go. So Justin, go ahead. And then I'll tell you about what I'm going to do. This is our joint session talk, because in the improv portion, we're going to have small groups of 8 or 10 people. We're going to learn improv at the basic level, start doing these exercises one-on-one in front of the group, and how they apply to, you know, telling jurors stories and connecting with jurors and voir dire. Justin.
All right. And Justin, what do you do? So that's Thursday afternoon. And so Thursday morning, what are you teaching in your small workshop, Justin?
Well, first, I want to say something to Joey and Sean. I have the book I think Joey was talking about a second ago. Sean's always impressed that I have all these books. Joey just talked about Robert McKee, and I've got several books by him. So that's just for Sean, who's always like, you can't have all these books.
It is amazing. Like when Justin is done, they're going to make it's going to be like the presidential library of legal books at Justin Kahn's office.
Oh, no, they're not legal books. That's the best part. But
well, they end up working for your legal knowledge, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
You're the most well-read attorney I've ever met.
Oh,
absolutely. Except maybe him and Rex Parris go head to head, but Justin might be ahead of Rex.
yeah.
We'll have that battle in LA.
That'd be an interesting reading battle. Anyway, the joint session that I think Brian was talking about we're going to be doing is the idea is to have about a 1 hour seminar where both of us are going to talk about, although Joey won't like it, we're going to talk about what you as a lawyer can learn from performers like an improv artist, an actor, and a magician, to talk about how you can control attention and how you can use those skills that, whether you're a magician or a improv artist, you need to have in order to connect with the audience. So we're going to talk for about an hour. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, on whatever day that is. The workshop.
No, but what do you,
Mhm.
workshop,
That's
a
what-
workshop. What's the workshop Thursday morning?
The workshop is going to be, I'm going to do a program where I'm going to teach some theory about how to present better. I've done some of this through these seminars, where I'm going to talk about how you manage interest, how you can stand up and present information to an audience and keep their attention, and go through certain psychological principles. And the idea is to spend about 45 minutes or an hour where I sort of teach some of these theories and give you some examples. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to have the participants get up on their feet and do it. I've already got a keynote presentation done. It's only about 10 slides. You're going to stand up and the slides will be loaded for you. You'll just have a remote and you click through it, and it's going to be an intersection collision case. You're going to stand up in front for no more than 5 or 10 minutes. I've already got the entire 1-page script laid out, where you're just going to walk through and present to the audience this collision case and what happened. And it's not fancy, but the idea is to get you up on your feet and to present this information. And not only are you going to be doing it using these slides, there'll be a blow up, so you can turn off the slideshow and go to the blow up. I think Dan's also going to have a document presenter, like an IPVO. So I've already got an MRI ready to go that you can put down in front of the document presenter and explain to the audience how that the L5, there's an incredible crush that's going on with the spinal cord. And the idea is to get you up on your feet, speaking to the audience, and spend no more than 5 or 10 minutes. The idea is, in order to build good habits, you have to figure out ways to decrease the friction in order to make it almost like muscle memory. And the only way to do that is to get up on your feet and do it. So I've tried to take away as much friction as possible from, you don't have to put together the slideshow. You don't have to come up with the facts. You don't have to get the equipment. You don't have to get the blow-ups. We're going to have all that stuff there for you. The script is basically done. And then you can just stand up and present the information. We're going to practice taking and making sure you learn how to make the screen go blank so that everybody looks at you, and easily get to a document presenter and present the information and use a blow up. And so, oh, and we're also going to have a flip chart so you can draw the intersection and show what happened. So the idea is, within a 7-minute window, you will be able to do a very quick opening and practice these skills that you're going to need. And the nice thing is, as an audience, if you're sitting in the audience while this is happening, you will watch somebody do this and you will learn from them, and you will see what you think works and what does not work. And we're going to create a safe space. So we're going to have interaction between the audience members and the presenter to let them know what they think works well and what does not. And then the next person will go, and we're going to do that through repetition. And we're going to have that's the idea of it.
I think that's going to be great, because that's kind of what we do at my apartment. And I think it's very
I don't know what you do
effective.
at your apartment. I'm just kidding.
My little training group. Don't be funny like
A
that.
little improv there.
All right. So, and then the combo program that you and Breiter are doing, you touched on that a bit, but do you guys want to say anything more about that program?
Well,
that you guys gonna teach
I
them?
think it'll just be why we love doing what we do, what we brought from our past and present as actors and magicians, performers, and how we weave those skills into storytelling of our clients. Using multimedia, using drawings, using video as part of your storytelling is important. But if you don't know how to do the mechanics of it, it's going to flop. So I think being able to use improvisational skills and presenter.
So
for
you're
your
still,
client's case.
Justin, you're still moving just fine. All right. So
Was I not moving?
Rahul, if you're, I think it's hard to say. Hawaii. Rahul Ravapudi.
Hello.
Hello, Rahul. So
How are you guys doing?
great. We're so excited that you and Panish and Glassman are coming to lead things off.
Oh, we're excited
I know.
too.
Good. So you're right after Panish. So because Panish can't be here because he's clearly doing something else.
There's Joey.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt for a quick second? This guy right here is exactly what I'm talking about. He is the most natural trial lawyer you're ever going to meet. And I'm going to put it to you simply why. Because his humility comes from his commitment to learn more about everybody else and to listen, to the point where there's nothing really left of him when he goes in the courtroom. It's all about everybody else there and taking care of them and educating them in a fair and non-biased way. His credibility comes from his great personal life. And if you want to see somebody who is a natural at everything and has no idea, this is the person you should be learning from. It's nice to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you, Joey. And that's just not fair because before you put your video on, I was just about to sing your praises. So I'm the biggest fan. So this is unbelievable. And I know Ambrose hates it when we all pat each other on the back, but
It drives me crazy.
this guy's the man.
At least you
I
know
haven't
that,
said
Rahul.
I haven't said a nice thing about anybody. Yeah.
It's because you're
Except
not a nice
myself.
typewriter.
Yeah.
Right.
Because nobody's a Dolphins fan here.
Oh, they will be.
All
There's
right.
Thanks for the kind words, Joey. I really appreciate
Rahul,
it.
how is people attending our discussion on comparative fault? How's it going to change their lives? Tell us what you're talking about.
So one of the things that we all need to focus on cases, and it doesn't actually apply to every single case, but there's comparative. A lot of times, whether we're dealing with a multi-vehicle accident, we're dealing with a particular target defendant who may not have been actively negligent, but passively negligent, and a number of different issues that we all face every day. What I want to do is I want to develop and explain a particular framework or exercise we can go through as lawyers to reframe that case, to put the focus on the right defendants, and either eliminate comparative fault or eliminate any contributory negligence on defendants we don't want it on. And we've been very, very successful in doing that. And I want to share some of the techniques. Concepts are simple. The execution is a little bit more labor intensive. And I'm going to walk through a few cases with everyone. And hopefully after doing that, everyone can take these tools away with them and actually apply them on their own cases. So it's really that simple. It's not going to be too hard. It all really has to do a lot with system failures. And one of the things that we do in just kind of looking at it is, why do we have systems? And why do we have all of those types of rules? And what we come to learn in almost every case is the reason why we have these rules is to prevent subsequent negligent acts from happening. That's the reality, right?
And then I know,
Oh, go ahead.
right. But Rahul, Brian's not here, but he has really worked harder than anybody I know and pushed their firm harder than anybody I know to improve their skill sets. So can you tell us a little bit about, I know you can't tell us what exactly it's going to be talking about, or speaking about, but maybe just give us some idea what people at your firm and Brian's been doing over the course of the last 16 months to raise his game. Because your game was pretty strong before the pandemic came along. You're a very well-respected law firm, at the, really, in my opinion, at the top of, the top. There's a few up there, but, most people get somewhat complacent at the top, or they can. But what is Brian and the rest, kind of push PSB to do to not get complacent, to get yourselves better, to, so that when these courts open up full blast, your team is ready to crush?
So a few things that we tried to do. One thing we did not do was take a break in the least. And so Brian will probably talk about identifying opportunities within the firm to reevaluate all of our cases, look for opportunities to create pressure points, even though trial dates were getting vacated. And then also just constant training. Internally, we were teaching each other about trial techniques
Right.
and being connected a whole lot more often. We're now like a 34, 38 lawyer firm soon to be, and we've never been more connected and engaged with each other. So he's going to talk about how we were able to do that, and how we're trying to, from the ground up, get the young lawyers to be budding successful trial lawyers and have amazing careers. So I think a lot of the things you have to say are translatable.
All right. And hopefully a lot of those younger lawyers will be at the program, so that, you know, because like the ones that I've met, like all the lawyers I've met in your firm, I
love it. You could fill in the blank on that. That could have been a terrible adjective that came right after that. We don't know, Justin. So, oops, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was saying, did Dan drop off?
I think he did. But no, I'm really excited for this, and I'm excited to see you, Justin. Been all remote, and so now to get to see you in the flesh will be fantastic.
Well, and I'll definitely show you some magic tricks. Well, I'm bringing them with me. I don't know where Dan's going, if he's gonna be able to log back in, or if we're supposed to end it.
Feel like we should end it. Anybody else have anything to cover?
Joey, have anything else? We look forward to seeing everybody in LA. I'm gonna be flying in Wednesday night, late at night. Hopefully the whole airport's not too far from the hotel.
Traffic coming back, it will be. So
I guess,
All right,
I guess
take care.
we'll end it.
Take care, Justin.
All right, see you later. Bye.
All
I'll
right.
end it. I guess I'll end it. See everybody in LA.